What's up, everybody? It is the Site B Engine Worker here, and today we are back with our final episode of Season 1, the season finale, which is episode 14 of our Site B Mode series. And as you guys know, well, as you guys can see, the last three episodes had about a 2 week gap in between them, and that was mainly because, just like any other series, any other series that's getting ready to close out, you kind of want to stretch those episodes out a little bit. And of course, we've been pretty busy with the last two episodes taking place in Biosense Valley. And of course, to do a quick little recap, we were in Biosense Valley and we had a lawsuit, a court lawsuit that we won with, against Biosyn. We were able to take back the cloned dinosaurs that they stolen from Isla Sorna, take back the animals that they cloned in their own time, plus just take back any animal that was in their Biosyn Sanctuary Valley in general. So that was a 2 episodes process that we went across not the entire Biosyn Sanctuary, but all the areas that housed animals in it. And of course, we did our species documents, our species counts, and when season 2 starts in the near future, all of those animals that you guys seen, including some of the more famous ones like Rexy, the buck, the doe, our tiger stripe velociraptors, their Giganotosaurus, and their Xenosauruses, and so much more. All of those animals will be featured into season 2 of our Site B Mode series. But anyways, as I mentioned, this is episode 14, which is our last episode in this series, and it's going to be a more chill, laid-back series. Episode. We are back on Isla Sorna, and I picked out a nice little calm location for us to just talk about some things. And you know, before we actually get into some of those topics, because I do want to cover some stuff, the highlight of this episode the highlight of this episode will be that we're actually releasing a newly cloned animal, a newly cloned dinosaur into the wild and ecosystems of Isla Sorna, and it's an animal that we haven't talked much about. And we actually have our Site B mode footage paused right quick, but if I can just start playing it right quick, give me 1 second. So the animals that we have successfully cloned and are releasing into the wild in this episode is Majungasaurus. So we cloned 12 of them. We have 6 males. These are the males right here with the more vibrant bodies. And we have the females. The females are a little bit more duller in color. Of course, that's something that you see most with our clone animals here on Isla Sorna. The males are usually the more vibrant ones. And we'll leave these gates open for now. Of course, they're welcome to travel in and outside of the gates. And, some of them are already a mated pair, but they will, eventually seek out their own territories and split apart. But, of course, by clone nature, they are siblings, but they aren't biological siblings. Meaning, of course, they weren't born from the same parents or anything like that. These guys were genetically modified, genetically cloned, and they are being released in the wild for the first time for all of you guys to see. And I thought it would have been a good time to release them into the wild because, of course, by the time season 2 starts, the ecosystems and populations of Isla Sorna will have changed drastically, and you guys will be able to see that. So I thought, since this is the last episode of season 1, this would be a good time to release the Majungasaurus. When we showed a few episodes back, we showed off some of our research and cloning facilities. As I mentioned before, that was just one of our many research cloning facilities, and at other facilities we have other animals that cannot, of course, be seen yet until we are ready to release them into the wild. So anyways, as I said, this will be let me just adjust my mic right quick. This will be a more calm, relaxed episode. This little proximity here on Isla Sorna that we picked out to be in this episode, it's not really a hostile environment, meaning it's not a lot of things going on in terms of animal activity. In this little area right next to our holding pen, we have some beautiful brachiosauruses, and of course they will do what they need to do to protect their young away from the Majungasauruses. And these Majungasauruses are being released out into the wild for the first time, so I'm pretty sure they won't start hunting immediately, but then again, they might be hungry. And just like we do with most of our animals, we hold the males and females for a little while just to make sure that they mate before releasing them into the wild. That way, we already start off by releasing them into the wild, and some of the females are already pregnant. That way, they immediately start to lay eggs. But anyways, guys, so yeah, this is the last episode of our Site B Mode series. So let's just talk a little bit as we, observe some of these animals. I kind of want to do that for this episode. Just talk a little bit as we explore this proximity. But so, I mean, but so for oh, we had a hunt taken. Well, maybe we do have a hunt taking place already. We have this female. Yeah, this female. She already went. Oh, we have some pachycephalosaurus in the area as well. So just as usual, guys, our female animals are usually always more territorial and more aggressive than our male animals. But we're going to just observe these animals as we talk a little bit in this episode. But anyways, so I want to talk about some of the stuff that we have planned, for the little break that we're going to be taking as we ready up season 2. Um, we have she knocked down another brachiosaurus, a juvenile brachiosaurus. But we have we actually have a Site B engine worker page. Of course, it's called, well, the Instagram page is called the Site B engine worker, and there we promote our Site B clips and stuff like that to show you guys. And we have, Jurassic Park related topics. We share a lot of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World trivia. We talk about what it was like, for those that didn't get to view the theme park. These guys are attacking the juveniles really quick, mainly because they're easy prey for them. But for those that didn't get a chance to visit the Jurassic World theme park from 2005 to 2015, we talk a lot about what that was like and what it was like for Engine to clone some of those animals for the Jurassic World theme park. And of course, within that time, cloning animals on Isla Sorna was prohibited by the government for a little while. But of course, that's not the case anymore. Obviously with us winning our settlement with Biosyn. But to basically, point of everything I'm saying is that in this little break between season 1 and season 2, we're going to be doing a lot of promoting on our Site B engine worker page. Just excuse me for 1 second, guys, as I readjust myself as I'm recording this video. But we're going to be doing a lot of promoting on our the Site B engine worker page. As I just mentioned, it is quote unquote the Site B engine worker on Instagram. Not only are we going to be excuse me, not only are we going to be doing that, but we're also going to be, in terms of just videos for our YouTube channel, we're going to be posting a lot of shorts. I'm going to be going back and watching all 14 episodes because, as you guys, as you guys can see, I do like to go back and rewatch the episodes and record, and post shorts from certain episodes. So that's what we're going to do as far as posting on the actual YouTube channel. We'll have polls set up on the YouTube channel to talk about, what were some of your favorite scenes and moments from season 1 of the Site B Mode series. We'll talk about some of, we'll have discussions about what are you guys' favorite, animals that have been revealed to the public during the time when Jurassic Park was supposed to be a running theme park in 1993. And during that time when Jurassic World was a running theme park from from 2005 until 2015. So that's the goal from season 1. That's the goal for the break that we're going to be taking from season 1 into season 2. We're going to do a lot of promoting on our the Site B, quote unquote, the Site B engine worker Instagram page. So I definitely suggest you guys go follow that page. And we're going to be posting a lot of YouTube shorts on this channel, just to kind of keep some activity going as we take a break. So some other things that I want to talk about, because I know I have some subscribers. We're just going to continue exploring the area as we're talking. That way I don't get too distracted. We're just looking at, the same area as I'm talking. Because usually I'm talking about the animals that's in the area, which I will do in this video, but I also want to just kind of talk about some specific topics. So, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that, I just want to, yeah. Okay, yeah, so because I scoped this area out before coming, so we do have a Spinosaur family here. This is the male right here, and this is the female, and I do believe they have 2 juveniles. Female juvenile right here, and there's a male juvenile running about somewhere. Like I said, this is the mother right here. Yeah, here's the male juvenile. So there's some of the, well, you guys know our Spinosaurus are the largest carnivorous animals that we have cloned and that, of course, reside on Isosorna. So, of course, in this little proximity here, they are probably the apex predators. Even if they share this area with some Tyrannosaurs or Acrocamptosauruses, they are definitely the apex predators in this area. So, but anyways, I wanted to kind of talk about, and we'll come back to the Spinosaur family in a minute. I just kind of want to explore a little bit more of this little jungle area. But I want to kind of talk about some specific topics that some of my amazing subscribers were wondering about. And I kind of have some of this stuff written down because I kind of want this episode to be a more informal, laid-back episode. Even though it's the final episode, in our season one, I kind of wanted this episode to be just a little bit more laid back than usual, and we just kind of have some discussion related topics about some things. So before we start actually talking, we're just going to make our way through this dense wooded area to see if we could bump into anything else. You never know what's residing in these forestry areas here on Isla Sorna, especially with how, especially with us expanding our ecosystem and, considering the fact that we just went to Biosyn to go salvage everything that they have. It's only going to make our ecosystems that we already have a lot more larger. So, so far I'm not seeing anything in particular. Let's see. I just want to make sure that we are, because the jungle areas are usually a little bit more harder to search, or not necessarily harder. It's a little bit more easier to not spot or to miss a carnivore. I mean, to miss an animal or something like that, because obviously, it's a jungle type area. Well, I don't think we're missing anything, so we're gonna go ahead and come out of this area right quick. We have yeah, I feel like we're not, well, we shouldn't be missing anything. Still hear those brachiosauruses roaring in the background. Okay, yeah. So I figured we were making our way back to the brachiosauruses for the simple fact that I heard them yelling in the background. But anyways, we're gonna see what's over here a little bit past this hill. We have some Edmontosauruses. As you guys know, Edmontosauruses make up, in terms of the population of our animals, Edmontosauruses make up a large quantity of that number. And that's mainly because they breed a lot. Oh, we have some ornithomimuses, some ornithomimuses in the area as well, along with some juvenile ornithomimuses. So of course that's pretty cool, considering the fact that ornithomimus is one of the animals that was recently released off of our new 2025 engine list about 2 months ago, and of course it is 2026 now. So these animals have been on Isla Sorna for a little while now, and of course they are doing their own breeding. But anyway, so let's talk about some of these topics. So I want to talk. I just heard a Tyrannosaurus Rex roar. See if we have a Rex in the area. Well, I know for a fact now that we do have a Rex in the area for the simple fact that I just heard one roar, which I'm not surprised about because we have a bunch of ornithomimuses and Edmontosaurus in the area, and of course that's easy prey for a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But whenever we bump into the Rex, we'll bump into the Rex. We're gonna check. Okay, yep, we just bumped into the Rex, and we actually have a juvenile with the Rex as well. 2 juveniles. So this is a fully grown female Tyrannosaurus Rex, of course, and she has her juveniles with her. Where did we lose them that quick? Here's one of them. Beautiful, beautiful Rex. I believe this is a male. As I've mentioned before, when it comes to the juvenile animals, sometimes I have a hard time telling them apart in terms of sexual dimorphism because they haven't matured into some of their fully grown traits yet. But of course, this is a female, and just to give a little bit intel on this female, she lost her mate. Her mate actually came down with a very, very bad disease. It was something going on in his leg, and of course, it took away his ability to hunt. At the time, this female was pregnant at that time when the male got sick, and of course, she didn't have the energy to hunt as much. Otherwise, she would have hunted for her male, but he ended up, of course, falling victim to starvation, unfortunately. Um, Before we get on with these topics, we're going to check and see what else is in this area because those Rexes aren't too far from those Spinosaurs, but of course, as you guys know, our Spinosaurs aren't as aggressive, and that's mainly because they can pick and choose when they want to be aggressive, but they can also stay and chill back in the aquatic life, in the waters and stuff like that, which gives them the opportunity to not be able to come into direct contact with anything on land. So, I'm not necessarily seeing anything. I do believe this is where we just were not too long ago. Yeah, I'm not necessarily seeing anything in particular. I just want to be sure because as you guys see, that Tyrannosaurus Rex pair just came out of nowhere with two juveniles at that. So okay, so what do we have a Baryonyx here. He appears to be feeding. Yep, he's feeding. Wasn't sure if he was drinking water. We have another one in the background. Another beautiful specimen. I can't really tell because this one is submerged in the vegetation. I can't really tell if it's female or male. I have to wait until it gets out of the water. Okay, this is the male we have here. I can tell by his prominent scales and his skin pattern. This is the female. As you can see, she just came out of the water, so it made it a little bit more easier to see. They are sharing. Oh, they actually have a juvenile as well, and they are sharing this territory with that Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, of course, they'll probably, definitely keep their distance. But anyways, I got distracted enough, guys. So let's talk about some of these topics. I got 4 topics I want to talk about. So I have one of my subscribers. He's one of my more well-known subscribers. He always supports a lot. I mean, he always supports the channel a lot. Is always commenting and voicing his opinion, which I definitely appreciate. But a couple months ago, he wanted to know about Manticore and Acid 87. And as you guys know, Acid 87 is, well, I guess I could say, quote-unquote, Acid 87 is supposed to be the original Spinosaurus that was cloned in the late 90s, and of course, the Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant reported on back in 2001. So, of course, Manticorp is another rival company like Biosyn that went over to Isosorna to steal dinosaurs and do God knows what with some of those animals. But as you guys know, it has been revealed to the public that Manticorp did get their hands on a Spinosaurus. And the reason why I say that they got their hands on a Spinosaurus is because the Spinosaurus that Manticorp revealed to the public was labeled Acid 87, and it was also labeled to be the same Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with back in 2001. Now, if you guys remember, back in maybe episode 3, when we revealed that Spinosauruses were back on Isla Sorna, and these were newly cloned Spinosauruses, I stated that the original Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in, we have Ostroraptor here, and we have some trikes in the area as well. This is a male Ostroraptor, so he's probably stalking some of these trikes. This is another male Ostroraptor. But I stated that the original Spinosaurus actually died. And of course, we were able to, find the remains of the original Spinosaurus and extract as much DNA from it as we could to clone 7 more new Spinosauruses. And since then, Spinosauruses have increased their population numbers since recloning them using the DNA of the original Spinosaurus. Here's a female Ostroraptor right here. But I say all that to say that Manticorp actually lied to the public. The Spinosaurus, so, this kind of goes back to me saying we used the original Spinosaurus remains to clone 7 more new Spinosauruses. So out of that 7, Manticorp actually stolen one of the original 7 that was cloned using the original Spinosaurus DNA from 2001. So I don't know if that sounds a little bit confusing, but The Spinosaurus that Manticore claimed to have, well, no, the Spinosaurus that Manticore did have, but claimed it was the Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with, is a lie. That is not the original Spinosaurus specimen. That is not the original Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with. This is a female Sinoceratops we have here. But the reason why I say that is because if you guys look at some of those public records and some of those pictures that Manticorp released of their Spinosaurus, it looks entirely different than the Spinosaurus public record pictures that we released. I mean, that were released to the public back when Jurassic World was a running theme park. If you guys look at Manticore Spinosaurus and you look at we're gonna see what else is in the area right quick. But if you guys look at Manticore Spinosaurus and if you look at the original engine clone Spinosaurus way back from 2001, the snout is very much different. The snout on the original Spinosaurus is a lot more narrow, and the snout on the Manticore Spinosaurus is a lot more rounded, just like an alligator. And that would not be the case with the original clone Spinosaurus, for the simple fact that that Spinosaurus was already grown. Our clone animals, they mature into their adult traits really, really quick on Isosorna, or just in general, and that's just because of the way we clone them. But it wouldn't make sense for some of our clone animals to grow into, unless they're completely old and they're reaching old age. We're just trying to see what else is in this area. It wouldn't make sense for them to mature into other different traits. And I'm saying all that to say, what do we have here? So we have an irritator here. This appears to be a male. We only have a male that I'm seeing so far. But I'm saying all that to say, to sum up everything that I'm trying to say, Manticore lied about that Spinosaurus. That's a part of the original. I mean, that's a part of the seven Spinosauruses that we cloned using the DNA of the original Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with. And the reason why Manticore lied was because they wanted more attention on the Spinosaurus that they had at their island. And they thought they would get more attention by lying and saying it was the original Spinosaurus. And of course, they decided to call it Acid 87, which, we don't mind, but what we do take offense to is them claiming that it was the original Spinosaurus and lying to the public. So, that's all I have to say about Manticore for right now. I just wanted to kind of elaborate because I know, people would have been wondering why wasn't there a Spinosaurus in Biosense Valley, and, what we have went to Manticore to go retrieve, quote unquote, the original Spinosaurus. But I'm here to tell you guys that the Spinosaurus that Manticore had in their possession is not the original Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with. That original Spinosaurus is actually deceased now. So I just thought I should let everybody know that. So anyways, another topic I want to talk about is of course when we were in Biosense Sanctuary. And forgive me guys, I'm not talking about some of the animals that's in this area. As I said, I wanted this episode, which is the last episode in our season finale, to be a more informal episode as we cover some simple topics, basically some stuff that I kind of always wanted to talk about, but of course I spend most of the episodes talking about other stuff. But anyways, of course when we were in Biosense Sanctuary, before we get on that topic, we're going to see what's in this area. We have a beautiful, beautiful Dinochirus. This is a male Dinochirus, and we have his female, his mate right here. And I do believe, because I did scope this area out prior, yes, this is a juvenile Dinochirus right here. Beautiful, beautiful animal. But these aren't the only Dinochiruses in the area. I believe there's another second family group here somewhere. In the midst of all these trees and this thick fog and mist and stuff like that. Pretty sure we'll bump into them as we're talking about our topics and stuff. I knew there was some animals over here. That's why I wanted to go over here and see what they were. But I remember as we got closer that it was a family of Dinochiruses living in this area. But let me see. I think I just heard the Brachiosauruses. It's kind of surprising that I hear the Brachiosauruses from way, way over here, considering that we are definitely a great distance away from them. But anyways, to move on to our second topic that I want to talk about. Let me just find those Dinochirises again. This might be that second family group right here. Is it? Yeah. So this is I believe if I could just find. Okay. They'll pop up when they'll pop up. This Dinochirus here is a part of the other group, the other second family group that's living in this area. So I'm pretty sure his mate and his juvenile will pop up soon. But anyways, as you guys know, the second topic will be about the buck and the doe. As you guys know, in Biosins Valley, we came across the buck and the doe, which of course, yeah, here's the other juvenile, which of course is a part of the buck and the doe is a part of the original seven Rexes, originally cloned under John Hammond's supervision back in the late 80s. And of course, we did come in contact with Big Edie, which is another Rex, a part of the seven clone Rexes. And now, because we were able to win that settlement with Biosyn, we were able to get some of our original clone. Well, we were able to get the three original clone Rexes back that Biosyn had in their possession, and bring them back over to Sorna. I wanted to specifically talk about the buck and the doe. So, as you guys know, the buck and the doe actually, when Dr. Ian Malcolm came in contact with them, along with the other engine team members back in 1997, you guys know that the buck and the doe Rexes actually had a juvenile at the time. And as you guys know, our genetically cloned Rexes mate for life. Once they mate, they're mated for life. And once the juvenile moves out of the nest, it's not a situation where the male will seek out another female or the female will seek out another male. They won't part ways or anything like that. Once they're mated for life. So I say all that to say, there's a question that a lot of people have been wondering for so long after they heard about the buck and the doe, and the buck getting loose in San Diego, and did he ever get back reunited with the doe, which of course he did, because before John Hammond passed away, he did report on that on national television news back in 97, that these animals required our absence and not our presence. Of course, that was then now, but of course, the engine team and I, we worked very close with these animals. But what I'm basically saying is that there was there was a lot of people that really, really wanted to know, did the buck and the doe mate again? And what happened to Junior? Um, Before we get in that topic, I'm just going to see what else is in this area right quick before we get in that topic. As I said, this area is a calmer area, so it's not completely packed with animals and stuff like that. And as you guys can see, we have some stegosauruses over here. But anyways, we're going to start off with, did the buck and the doe mate again? Because that was a very famous question that a lot of people wanted to know once they heard about Junior, and they wanted to know what happened to Junior. So the answer is yes. As you guys know, the original seven Rexes that we now have on Isosorna is the one that we showed in our research facility about 2 months ago, almost 3 months ago. She was a female. She was one of the females that did not change her sex because she was in a single sex environment. We have Rexy, we have Big Edie, we have the buck, and we have the doe. So that's 5 Rexes. That leaves 2 Rexes unaccounted for that we'll talk about later. So anyways, the buck and the doe and the other Rexes that I mentioned that are a part of the original 7, they did mate again. And that's because the genes of these animals, that the DNA and stuff that we splice into the genes of these animals, allows them to live for a very long time, especially when they have, it's like an animal being held in captivity at the zoo and they're able to be watched, compared to an animal that's just living in the wild. And yes, these animals do live in the wild, but Isla Sorna is not the same like it was in the 90s. We're able to watch these animals and ensure their future success. So with that being said, the buck and the doe did mate again, but just like Junior, they only look after their younglings for about 2 years, maybe less than that, maybe a year and 6 months. And that's because it only takes about 2 years for most of our genetically cloned animals, a little less than 2 years to reach full maturity. This is our male Spinosaurus here hunting, and I believe one of his male, let me see, male juvenile in the back. Yeah, it only takes a little less than 2 years for our genetically cloned animals to reach maturity. So with that being said, of course, Rexes are not pack animals. They weren't when they actually were. I mean, they weren't millions and millions of years ago. And now that we've been able to bring them back to life, or genetically bring them back to life, and genetically clone them, we didn't clone them with group or pack traits. Those traits are mainly in our Allosauruses, and those traits weren't hard to clone in our Allosauruses for the simple fact that Allosauruses had pack traits in general, back during the actual Jurassic period. So I'm saying all that to say, once Junior got of age, he was forced by the buck to eventually leave the nest. And not only was he forced, his natural instincts encouraged him to leave the nest anyways. And with that being said, the buck and the doe did mate again, and this time they had a female. And the female eventually left the nest after a while too. And as far as what happened to the female, the second child that they had, that'll be another topic for another video. I mainly want to talk about Junior and his whereabouts for the simple fact that the buck and the doe was spotted in Biosense Valley last episode. And of course, we've brought them back to their rightful home, which is Isa Sorna. But where's Junior? That's the big question. Where is Junior? So unfortunately, after the fall of Jurassic World and the eruption of Isa Nublar, and for a little while we were prohibited by the government from cloning any new animals on Isa Sorna. Once those limitations of cloning were dropped by the government, that's when we made our way back to the mainlands of Isla Sorna to get everything set up for this site B series. Of course, that took a little while because we had to um, basically nurse the ecosystems back to a state of survival. So of course we were able to track down a lot of the animals that were, on Isosorna in the 90s, and track down a lot of animals that passed away, and of course do a lot of recloning. And unfortunately, Junior was one of those animals that did not make it, and that's mainly because the original Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with, he caused a great extinction on the island. And that's part of the reason, like I spoke about before, our new genetically cloned Spinosauruses were cloned with less aggressive traits. That way they don't cause great extinctions. And of course, Isosaurus is home to a lot more animals than what it was back in the day, but Junior, unfortunately, was not able to find a mate in time like his dad was, which is the buck, and of course, his mom, which is the doe. And I'm saying that to say, when you have a mated pair of animals, they're able to, of course, survive a lot better. We're gonna go check on our Majungasauruses right quick. They're able to survive a lot better because they can do 2 times the hunting. Junior, unfortunately, was not able to do a lot of hunting, and once Isla Sorna became vacant, a lot of the animals went extinct. Mainly due to that, original Spinosaurus. And as I spoke about before, that original Spinosaurus that Dr. Alan Grant came in contact with, he was so aggressive that he caused great harm to himself. If you go around the island just hunting anything you could see, eventually you're going to deplete your food source. Then you have to take into consideration that he was not that original Spinosaurus was not the only large carnivore on Isosaurina. We had Rexes, we had well, not necessarily large carnivore, but it wasn't the only carnivore on Isosaurina. We had large tribes of velociraptors. We had Rexes, Baryonyxes, Carnotauruses, a lot of animals that were extinct when we made our way back to Isosaurina after the fall and eruption of Isa Nublar. But the point is that there was a lot of competition in terms of food. And what do we have here? Is that a oh, that's a dead Pachycephalosaurus. But the point is that a lot of animals went extinct because of that Spinosaurus, and unfortunately, Junior was one of those animals. And I know that's really sad to say, considering the fact that a lot of people, a lot of kids mainly, really wanted to learn about Jurassic. Really wanted to learn about Junior when they were able to read on the Isla Sorna brochures back when Jurassic World was a running theme park. Um, Junior made a huge, huge name for himself during that time. So it is really sad that Junior is gone, and it's saddened a lot of, it's saddened me and a lot of my engine co-workers. We have some Corythosauruses right here. So So yeah, so I really wanted to talk about the buck and the doe, and of course Junior. So anyways, our other topic to talk about is Biosyn. As you guys know, our last two episodes took place in Biosyn's Valley, and as far as what will happen with them, I'm pretty sure I explained it a little bit in the last episode, but they are now officially prohibited from cloning animals. They are prohibited from stepping into the cross. I mean, stepping into stepping coming anywhere near Isla to take animals off the island, and they are prohibited from taking animals that got loose on the mainland after the eruption of Isla Nublar. That is all our job in terms of cloning, in terms of going onto the mainland to get any animals that got loose after the eruption of Isla Nublar. And that is our job to make sure Isla Sorna's animals stay intact the best way we can without the interference with any other third party companies such as Manticorp or Biosyn or anything like that. So I thought that was really, really important to mention. I thought that was really important for the public to know. You guys don't have to do too much worrying about any other third party companies getting their hands on some of our animals and stuff like that. That's something that definitely won't happen again. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go see if we can find that. I want to go try to find that Rex. That Rex. Here's the baryonyxes we encountered earlier. This area doesn't have that many animals in it. Animals in it, as I explained. I wanted to find a calm area because I wanted this episode to be a more informal episode. As we get ready to close out this series. So just want to see if the Rex. And unfortunately, we didn't get any hunts in this episode, but it's all good. We have a lot more hunts that take place in a lot more episodes, and of course, there's not a lot of carnivores in this area anyways outside of the Rex Spinosauruses. The Majungosauruses that we just released, Baryonyxes, Irritators, and Osteoraptors. When I name them, it sounds like a bunch of animals, but yeah. I mean, when I name them, it sounds like a bunch of carnivores, but the Baryonyxes and Irritators and Spinosauruses, of course, will stay in the waters anyways, so they probably won't interfere or interact with any herbivores that are on the mainlands anyways. If we pop back up with that Rex, we'll pop back up with her, but and her two juveniles. It's probably best we continue to check out some of these Majunga sources anyway, since we probably won't see them again to season 2, and hopefully by then we'll be seeing some younglings from these guys. So, anyways, we're gonna get ready to draw this episode to a close in the next couple minutes. Give me 1 second, right quick. What I want to do is I want to give a little shout out to a couple of my subscribers, and please forgive me if I butcher any of you guys' names. I appreciate all of my subscribers because we are at 108 subscribers. So I definitely appreciate everybody that helped us make it this far. Everybody that has helped us. I mean, everybody that has commented or viewed in any way, shape, or form or capacity. Everybody that have left their opinions and stuff like that. But I want to give a shout out to this shout out is to all 108 of my subscribers. This channel wouldn't be possible without you guys, and I want you guys to know that this little break that we're going on is only temporary because we're going to be working on some other things. I mean, we're going to basically be working on things for season 2 as we get ready to ready it up for you guys. And so yeah, this is a huge shout out to all 108 of my subscribers. But in terms of specific shout outs, I would love to give a shout out to one of my more well-known subscribers because he is usually commenting. He changed his name a lot, but he is usually commenting on most of my videos, which I do appreciate. So my fault, dude, if I butcher your name, but I believe it is Abdrigity. Abdriggity, Abdriggity. Dude, I just want to say I appreciate you a lot. Subscribers like you that really make recording this footage very worth it, man. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your enthusiasm. You being a excuse me. I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I appreciate how much you enjoy this channel and enjoy watching these animals in their natural habitats and stuff like that. So you're always much appreciated, man, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you again and seeing your comments and your opinions again when we ready up season 2. So, anyways, the next subscriber I want to give a shout out to is Jeremy. Jeremy. Forgive me, dude, if I'm pronouncing your YouTube name wrong. It is Jerimeh. Jeremy. That's just how I'm going to pronounce it for now. I appreciate you, dude. Your last your last comment was, love your channel, bro. Keep the content coming. JP fam for life. So of course, we appreciate anybody that loves the Engine team because of course over the past years, Engine has just been subjected to a lot of bull crap and been made out to be. Don't get me wrong. When Engine was under the following of Dr. Henry Wu, um, those Engine board members, did a lot of shady stuff. But, Engine is not under the following of Dr. Henry Wu anymore. And all of the Engine workers that were under the following of Dr. Henry Wu, those guys don't even work for Engine no more. So, I appreciate everybody that supports what we do here on Ease of Sorta, man. So another subscriber that I want to give a shout out to, his name is the Frog Mammoth. Mammoth. TheFrgMammouth. So the Frog Mammoth. Your last comment was a month ago, and you said been here since your second video. Congrats on almost reaching 100 subs. I appreciate that, dude, because anybody that's been around from the beginning, that just goes to show how much you appreciated the series when we started from the bottom. And I know I'm not a huge YouTube channel, but I do love what I do. I do love the work that I do for Engine, and I love to showcase this footage for you guys out of all the Engine workers. And when I say all the Engine workers, I do mean there's a lot of people that work for Engine. I was one of the main ones that was really rooting for this series because when Isla Nublar erupted in 2018, and when we were granted access to start back cloning by the government, it wasn't planned to do a Site B series, but I decided that the public should see this stuff and see that Engine isn't all just what the public made it out to be. So we do our due diligence by looking after these beautiful, beautiful animals. So those are the 3 subscribers that I wanted to shout out. As just to say their names again: the Frog Mammoth, Ab Diggerty or Didgerty, and of course Jeremy. But as I said, all of you as a whole, all 108 of you as a whole, I greatly appreciate you guys. And sorry guys if this format was a little bit off. I wanted to cover some topics, and I wanted this episode to be a more informal episode as we closed it out. Our usual format is us going through, picking a proximity on Isla Sorna, scoping it out, and talk about the animals that are in the area. But today I wanted it to be a more informal episode. So guys, stay tuned. We are going to be promoting the Instagram, the Site B Engine Worker, quote unquote, the Site B Engine Worker Instagram page. We are going to be promoting that heavily with a lot of videos from all 14 episodes. It's going to just be random clips talking about certain topics, talking about certain animals, and talking about a lot of other Engine tale. On the actual YouTube page, we're going to post a lot of shorts and have discussions about certain animals, talk about some of your favorite animals that were featured in Jurassic World Park before it failed, and just some of your favorite genetically cloned animals in general. And as I said, we're going to keep a lot of nice shorts, a lot of YouTube shorts videos coming on the channel just in general. I can't say when season 2 is coming back, but it won't be long. Expect the ecosystems of Isla Sorna to be drastically different when we return, because of course we just finished our journey in Biosins Valley, taking everything that they already had and bringing it over to Isla Sorna. So anyways guys, I will see all of you in the incoming days.